Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Silvia Di Blasio, and I am speaking from Gaia Education. And today we're going to have an information session along with Ubiquity University about the combined master's and PhD degrees. And we have some interesting people today to answer your questions about this new partnership, this new offer, both for those of you who have done the GEDS with us and those of you who may be curious about what the GEDS is and what is in this program. So again, my name is Silvia Di Blasio. I am the coordinator of the e-learning and academic courses at Gaia Education, and I'm located in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, in the territory of the Coast Salish peoples. And I would like to pass it to Peter. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, Silvia. Yeah, my name is Peter Merry. I'm one of the co-founders of Ubiquity and currently managing director. And so I'll be saying a little bit more about kind of our reason for doing this. So let me pass on to Georgie.
Thank you, Peter. Hello and big welcome to you all. My name is Dr. Georgie Sabo. I serve as the Dean of Graduate Studies at Ubiquity University. I have been in this position for the past over 8 years, and I teach the Creative Journey to Dissertation course and do lots more besides that, but we can touch upon that maybe later on. So over to you, Raji.
Thanks, Georgie. Hi, everyone. My name is Raji. I'm speaking to you from Colombo in Sri Lanka. I'm Ubiquity's Director of Partnerships, so I've been working with Silvia and her team kind of behind the scenes to structure this whole thing. And we'll soon be passing you over to the very capable hands of Georgie and her team. But that's who I am, and looking forward to engaging with you all this hour and moving forward.
Thank you all. Peter, do you want to introduce the program and the why behind this?
Yeah, thanks, Silvia. So first of all, great to see you all. It's always, these calls always are so heartening when you remember how many good people there are doing really important work in the world at this time. So it's like to see real people, thinking each one of these people are doing kind of amazing work. So at Ubiquity, we're committed to creating a kind of higher education that we feel is really relevant for the world today. Unfortunately, a lot of kind of more traditional higher education programs aren't being particularly effective at equipping people to deal with the real social environmental challenges we're facing, and also often seem to find it a bit hard to acknowledge that personal development, your inner development, is actually a critical part of your learning and your ability to be able to make a positive impact in the world. So we've made it our mission to be able to honor the learning that people get on platforms that are kind of popping up around the place, but that are really offering the kind of education that we feel is really important for the world at this time. And to make sure that people can get higher education graduate degrees for that work, because why shouldn't they? You all know, for those who've been through the GEDS program, the quality of the learning there, probably better than many a university program. So why shouldn't people who've been through a program like GEDS be able to get a degree if they wanted to? So that's what we're up to, slowly but surely disrupting the field of higher education with a lot of fun, and attempting to create a like Buckminster Fuller said, don't try to change the old system, but make a new one that makes the old one obsolete. So that's what we're attempting to do, and it's been great to discover the work that Silvia and the team have been doing at Gaia Education. And we're here to basically answer any questions you have about what that looks like if you were to go on and continue your learning post-GEDS, as it were, with Ubiquity. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Peter. I will explain briefly what the GEDS is, because I understand that not all of you have done the GEDS. So the GEDS is the foundation of the programs at Gaia Education. GEDS stands for Gaia Education Design for Sustainability. Is one of the oldest programs, like I say, and is the foundation of all the different programs and courses and projects that we do, because it's built upon the four what we call the 4 dimensions. Out there, when we talk about sustainability or regeneration, sometimes there's one piece that is not being considered. The GEDS tries to consider all the 4 pieces, and actually 1/5 piece that I'm going to explain right now. So what are those 4 dimensions? The first dimension is the social. So without working with people and learning how to work with each other, it's impossible to build anything that is regenerative or sustainable in the long term. The other dimension is ecological dimension. Without ecological dimension, again, if we're not considering nature and all the other connections that we have in this planet at the same level as humans, nothing can be built that is sustainable enough. The other dimension is economic, and it touches on the alternative economics and how we can, meet our needs and find ways to express our interests in ways that are also sustainable or regenerative. And the new dimension that is usually not there from other programs or institutions is the worldview dimension. So we in Gaia Education believe that if we don't change the paradigm of how we think and our beliefs, then nothing will change. We can change the environment, we can change the way that we try to treat each other and make decisions, but if we don't change the paradigm behind that, then nothing changes. So the GEDS is founded in those 4 dimensions, and there is a fifth dimension that is the design piece. So we do everything with the intention of a design where we actually calculate and dream, how the results are going to be, instead of making decisions without planning or without thinking in the future generations. So that's what the GEDS is in theory, and in practice is each one of the dimensions is 8 weeks. The dimensions start with any dimension that you're interested in, so you don't have to start with one in particular. But right now, for example, the next dimension is the worldview, which starts in March 20, and then after 10 weeks, once that has ended, you have the economics, and then the social, and then the ecological. And then if you want experience with a group, you have the design studio. If you want to go into the master's or the PhD, you just need to finish those 4 dimensions. If you have already finished some of the dimensions or have already finished all the GEDS, then you're more than ready. But as Raji is going to explain, there is another way, which is that even if you haven't done the GEDS, you can go for the writing workshop with Ubiquity University and do the GEDS at the same time. So Raji, do you want to explain a little bit how is that entrance there? And maybe Georgie can explain what is that they are going to see in that workshop.
Sure, Silvia, thank you. Yeah, so we've tried to keep this as simple as possible for everyone, really. And, we've assessed the GEDS coursework, and it's of the highest quality, and, it covers everything that needs to be covered for a master's level program. And so what we add to the equation is what any, master's or PhD program would, which is a piece of academic writing at the end of it that establishes you as an academic in the field, and you make a big contribution to the field through that piece of writing, and announce yourself, really. And so that's the component that Ubiquity handles. So in the very simplest case, if you finished your GEDS coursework, then you simply enroll with Ubiquity, you let us know that you finished, and then you do your thesis writing component with us. And that means you take the Creative Journey to Dissertation course with Georgie, which is a 5-day intensive, 3 hours a day. And then after that, you pick a major advisor from our pool of advisors or someone that you like. And then you get to writing your thesis. With the PhD, it's similar. You still just do your GEDS coursework. You enroll in the Creative Journey course. And in the case of the PhD, you'd have to take 2 other core courses to level up, 2 core courses with Ubiquity. We also have an MA PhD combination, so you can actually do both together, which also requires the 2 core courses, the Creative Journey course, the dissertation writing, and you have to take a couple other courses, again, to level up. Few at the master's level, few at the PhD level. I don't want to go into too many details to confuse people on that now, but essentially, you do your GEDS coursework with Gaia, and you do the thesis or dissertation writing with us. One thing, just to allude to what Silvia mentioned, for those of you who are alumni of the GEDS program, and you finished your coursework, you can simply come to us and start the thesis writing process. If you are someone that is in the midst of the GEDS program and would like to convert, then you can take the Creative Journey course with us as you like. We prefer that you do it sooner rather than later, I think. And if you're new to the GEDS, then we actually recommend that you take the Creative Journey course right at the beginning, because what it does is it will set you up and give you the skills and the mindset that you need to kind of frame all your learnings in the context of creating this piece of academic writing at the end. I think that's a good time to switch to Georgie, actually, because she is the expert on the writing and the actual thesis writing and dissertation writing process. So Georgie, over to you.
Thanks, Raji. Well, you said so much already, and Peter, so maybe just a little bit to add about why Ubiquity University is so unique is this is probably the only university where you can express yourself, your own becoming, in a form of an academic writing. Many of universities, such as the one I finished my PhD at the Sorbonne, I couldn't even start a sentence with I. So it's really weird because I'm the author, it is all my experiences, so how come that I can't really say it? Well, clearly for an MA thesis, you cannot just talk about the I and the me, it has to be a really good balance between the objective and the subjective, but more we're going to talk about it at the Creative Journey Dissertation course. So that particular course, I would like to uncover some elements to it because we realized that it is not just about the academic writing. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with academic writing, but there are people who are really not, and it is really about practice. So the way to a dissertation or to a thesis that really entails a lot of different aspects to oneself, such as how such path is going to affect me spiritually, mentally, how is it going to impact my family life, my professional life, what are the challenges, the joys, the blocks I may experience. And you're going to see that probably 90% of graduates, we all going to experience similar occurrences, and this is what I'm going to reveal to you. Also, we're going to talk about very common things such as procrastination. We do not name this, but we do procrastinate quite a lot. And I'm going to reveal to you that how to curb such behavior so that you get on with your research and with your writing in a much more flowing way. We're also going to talk about what is the best way to find a major advisor and what are the ins and outs of a really fruitful relationship between an advisee and an advisor, because it is clearly a very important relationship that is going to affect you for some time. As Peter and Raji mentioned, this is an intensive course. It's a live teaching for 3 hours per day. I'm going to start the teaching for 1.5 hours. Then you will have half an hour break, and followed by another teacher who is going to take you into the realm of transformational art, because we do believe that creativity, imagination, art takes a major element into bringing out the oneself and your expression about that particular message that you would like to convey to the world. We're not going to record this course because it is a must to attend. So you need to appear, because we treat this course almost as it were an in-person course. Clearly, if you have illness or something that comes up, that you just let me know, and maybe I try to fill you in with the context of that particular day or so. But every day is different, and I do advise that do commit yourself for that 1 week, because it is important. You shouldn't really miss a day or maybe even an hour. So the first 2 days from my end, it will be quite a lot about the theory, the ins and outs of the creative journey to thesis or dissertation. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to have an interactive session whereby each of you will have 10 to 15 minutes to talk about the possible topic of your research or the possible topic of your thesis, and why it is important, because many times what we have within, or rather what we think about, is not always what we actually convey to the masses. And when you speak actually publicly, the public may hear something else that you want to convey, and this is what we're going to reveal to you. And most of the time people have amazing aha moments that, oh really, this is really the flame that I really want to research, why I was talking about something else. So it doesn't mean that you have to talk about your interest field. If you're not ready for it, that's totally okay. But it is a wonderful interactive session that I would really advise everybody to share whatever you would like, because it is going to help you to really arrive to that stage where you're more confident about what you're going to uncover and write about academically. So I think that's where I would leave it at the moment. Thank you. Over to Silvia or Peter or Raji, if you'd like to add anything to this.
Thank you, Georgie. That was really, really good to hear explanation of how it's structured and how you lead that. I love it. I would like to ask some questions in behalf of people who are not here, and then that will probably have the starting of the questions, because that's why you are here. You probably have many questions. So one of the questions for you, Raji or Peter, is, or even Georgie, is, if somebody registers for the writing course right now, but they don't have the capacity to start their dissertation until later, they have already finished the GEDS, so they are ready for that part, but they want to take advantage of, doing this course right now. Is that possible? What is the window of time to finish everything, to finish all the journey?
Can I ask
Right.
something?
Nobody else is unmuted, so I'll answer that one. Yeah, you've got 7 years, basically. So
Wow.
the kind of window to complete a thesis or a dissertation is 7 years. So absolutely you can, and we'd recommend doing the writing course as early as possible, because it means that all of the learning experiences or books you read or whatever afterwards, kind of it gives it a context. So you're thinking, oh, I could use this bit for my thesis or dissertation, or it helps you to shape your thesis or dissertation. So absolutely, it's absolutely no problem if you want to take the course now and then you want to wait a few months or a couple of years, but although I wouldn't advise that long before starting your dissertation, that's no problem.
Thank you. Well, what I would like to add, thank you so much, Peter. Yeah, it is really advisable to take this course as early as possible, because we're going to go through the thesis, or rather stroke dissertation manual, that all about the structure, how to form a table of contents, what about the research methods that could be actually quite daunting to so many people. So I'm going to get the daunting effect out of the equation. And also, yeah, we do recommend to try to finish, as and when you can. But also I do say, which is a little bit funny, that try to finish your program in this lifetime, because if you don't, then you're going to have to do it in your next one. So it's, you can, if this is your path, you're going to have to finish it. And we will be there for you, Raji, Peter, and myself, and Silvia too, that whenever you have any blocks or just want to brainstorm, that please reach out, right? So we're there for you, because we have went through this path, and clearly that path is different and differ to person. But if nothing else, community, we know it's super important, and also just to share that what you may be going through, and we may be able to help. If not, then we can maybe recommend somebody else who could.
We just can't guarantee we'll be there for you in the next life.
That's true.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I don't think they're going to plan. They're planning to take 7 years, but that's good to know that they have that window. Can we talk a little bit about the requirements? So I'm going to present the requirements as I understand, and you can add anything that I may be missing. So for those of you who are here and listening to this recording, there is the first requirement is to have a bachelor's degree. And the other requirement is to complete the GEDS, but that's part of the program. So if you haven't, you can still take the course, and start and do the writing at the same time that you're doing the GEDS or before the GEDS. The other requirement is to understand English good enough to be able to write the dissertation and to attend the course. But you can actually take the GEDS in any of the languages that is offered through Gaia Education. We offer the GEDS in Spanish and in Portuguese, apart from English. And actually, those two programs are a little bit less expensive than the GEDS. The GEDS is not expensive, but they are less expensive. So if you know Spanish or Portuguese, and you prefer to take the GEDS in those languages, or have taken the GEDS in those languages, there's no need for you to take the GEDS again in English. That's more than enough. So my question based on that, Raji, is there any other requirement to apply for the program? And what if somebody has not completed a bachelor's degree, is at the end of a bachelor's degree, or has some sort of combination? In some countries, the bachelor degree is shorter than the others. So what kind of quality or paperwork are you asking for when they apply? Can you respond to that?
Sure, I can, Silvia. Thanks. I'll answer the first part of the question first, which is to say, if you're just applying, what we need from you, and you can figure, you can execute that on the landing page I provided in the chat earlier. You would fill out the application form that's on the website, and you would provide us with your resume, as well as proof of your completion of GEDS or enrollment in GEDS, so that we know that you're one of the Gaia education learners. And that's essentially what we require for regular students who are just applying. Now, our admissions team will then go through your documents and come back to you. Now, going to the question about people who may not have an answer. So sorry, one of the documents required would be, in the case of a master's student, your undergraduate diploma. So thank you for bringing that up, Silvia. Now, in the case that you don't have a BA, you don't need to freak out. We have people that do apply for master's degrees without a BA. And what we do in those cases is we really look at your work experience and life experience relevant to the field. We very much acknowledge that there are people out there who may not have done an undergraduate degree, but have just as much experience, knowledge, and expertise, if not more, than someone that has that piece of paper. And so we want to honor that. And so in the case that you don't have one, that shouldn't preclude you from applying. Please do so. And then we look at those cases on a case-by-case basis with our admissions team.
Thank you, Raji. That's very clear. There is a question in the chat asking whether they can decide on the PhD program later. So for example, if they take the intensive first and then later decide on the program, could you respond to that, either you or Peter, Georgie?
Yeah, Sana, you've asked a question we don't have an answer to. Let's say that we haven't decided formal policy because it virtually never happens. People kind of do the course in the context of a degree program that they're signing up for. So I was going to drop an answer in, but I know I shouldn't create policy on the hoof. That I should really discuss it with the rest of the team. So I'm going to say, send us an email afterwards, and we'll see about that. It would probably be that you pay the first installment of the degree that you're potentially interested in, and then should after the course you decide not to continue, then you'd be refunded, let's say, whatever's left of the first installment minus the course fee.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Yeah. It depends on the scholarship from my work. That's why I was asking this question, not because I am only interested in the first part, but before getting the scholarship, it might take for about months, 8 months or 9 months before I would know about it. So that's the reason why I think maybe I can already start with something and then after see if I can get the financial part together.
Okay, well, that might be possible, Sana. Drop us an email. And we'll deal with your particular case. Yeah.
Thank you. I will ask 2 more questions in behalf of the people who are not here, and then pass to all of you here. Just raise your hand if you have a question, or you can post the question in the chat. The way that you can raise your hand, because we're a small group, you can just raise your hand like this so we can see it, or you can go to reactions on the bottom of your screen and you can click on the hand, so we can see and we can give you by order, we can give you the space to speak. Okay, so there was another question regarding that in the chat, which is whether we can provide a recognition or for the GEDS that is equivalent to a degree, like undergraduate degree. The answer from Gaia Education, that is no, we are not a university, and we don't have the capacity to provide equivalent to a degree from or undergraduate degree from the GEDS. But the fact that you can go to the master's or PhD with the GEDS and also have a recognition for all the other things that you have done in your lab, all the other studies, like Raji says, because it's a case-by-case scenario, is even better, because you won't have the undergraduate, you have a master's now. So it's even a much better option. Okay. The other question that I had on behalf of the people who are not here is, how do you choose your mentor? I understand there is a pool of mentors, and sorry, Moni, can you mute yourself? I cannot mute you from here. Perfect, thank you. So how do you choose your mentor? When you choose your mentor, and is the mentor included, sorry, in the package that you pay for the master's or PhD?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to answer that question, Peter, before you jump in. Well, this is a wonderful question. This is what we're going to go through at the Creative Journey to Dissertation course in greater detail. But in a sense, we did put together 2 lists of major advisors, one for MAs and one for PhDs. You may choose, I mean, not you, but clearly students could choose from this pool of people, or you can choose from any other external organizations. What I would suggest and what I do recommend to students is that first see that maybe go to the website of a particular person, because everybody has different interest field and expertise. So just because you have a specific interest field, that may not mean that you cannot work with somebody who is not in that specific field, him or herself. And that's why it is really important to maybe book a Zoom or Skype or whatever call with these people and see if you have the alignment, not just the personal, the individual, the intuitive as well, and the academic, because you're going to work with this person for like, I don't know, 6 months to maybe 2 years, 3 years, who knows? So it is really an important relationship, and we're going to talk about that how to make sure that it is a fruitful relationship. So not just choosing the person and have the agreement, but what are the ins and outs, that what you need to agree with the person right at the beginning, that, for example, what is your requirement? What are your needs? How many times a week or a month you need to speak with the advisor? What do you need from your advisor? And clearly the advisor is going to say that how much time he or she has for you. But these are the elements we're going to address in greater detail at the Creative Journey course. So just one more thing, that for the MAs, the major advisor need to have an MA degree, and for the PhDs, for PhD students, the advisor needs to have a PhD. At certain cases, we did allow major advisors without such degrees, but that person clearly showed a good couple of decades, if not more, experience, such as academic publishing, teaching, and so forth. And why it is important, because an academic path is really different to any other, and the person who experienced that can really advise you, not just in a sense of like how to write an argument, how to refute an argument, and how to write a table of contents is much more than that.
Thank you, Georgie. So they can choose the advisor from the pool of advisor that you have, and they also can choose their own advisor from outside that pool, but they need to introduce the advisor to your team to see if it's fully eligible. Is that correct? Okay. And the advisor is included in the fee, right?
Yeah, the advisor is included in the fee. Maybe I can shall I just show the page about that? That might just help people understand that. So
yeah, I think that Raji shared the link. That's great if you, yeah.
This is the link to the main, the main page where you can find all the info about the program that Raji put in at the top. And then down here, it's got a support thing, and you can click on MA or PhD advisors and writing support. And then you see, like here, we've got, what are the responsibilities of the major advisor. So if you want to choose somebody, you want to ask somebody, you can let them know what's expected of them, and then what's expected of the student. And then a bit about, how you go about choosing an advisor. So all that info is there. And then we've also got some extra courses, most of which are free, from MOOCs on how you can improve your academic writing. So if you're not kind of confident in academic writing, you can follow one of these. And we have a mentor who could help you with your writing if you want as well. And then we have a list of the advisors we'd recommend. So you can go down and you can see if any of these seem to fit, fit your interests, click on their details, and then you just contact them directly if you're interested. Or you can find somebody through, the Gaia Education Network or through your network.
Thank you. That was very thorough. I have a question, and this is my own curiosity here, and then we are going to go to Martha. When they finish the dissertation, they finish the entire program, what happens? Is there a presentation that they do in front of a committee, or how that, how is the closing once they finish the master's or the PhD?
Okay, well, basically the steps are that once the MA student finished the thesis and his or her major advisor approved it, then that thesis need to be submitted to myself in a PDF format, and I'm going to assess. And the dissertation, or rather the thesis, sorry, sometimes I still mix these two terminologies. And so there is no oral exam for masters. For PhDs, there is an oral exam, yes, and that is just absolutely normal, like most universities, they have that. We're going to discuss these elements at the Creative Journey course too, but these are just in short detail. And we also discussed that what are the lengths of the MA thesis and what's the length for the PhD dissertation, and how it all goes. That's why it is really important to attend this intensive course, because we cover a lot.
Perfect. Thank you, Georgie. And I understand that you already have the dates. Can you repeat the dates? I know that you put in the chat, but for those who didn't capture or came later, can you repeat the dates of the course?
Is it, Georgie, is it April 3rd to 7th?
That's right, 3rd to 7th of April. Yeah.
Okay. And do you have the timing?
It's usually 5 o'clock Central Eastern Time, isn't it, Georgie?
As usually it is, yeah.
Central European.
Okay, so it would be from 5 to 8 Central Time. Okay, perfect. Okay, so Martha, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. Thank you. This is really wonderful to hear about. I looked quickly at the website and I saw that for the master's, it's the GEDS coursework and the creative journey. And for the PhD, additionally, there are the Chartres Academy, great books, and 8 credits of elective courses. What exactly is can we find more information somewhere about Chartres and great books? And are those courses that we select out of curriculum that they are offering, or could you explain a little bit how that works, please?
Over to you, Georgie. I'll put a link in the chat.
Oh, that's very sweet, I thought. Okay, let me cover first the Great Books course. Well, in a sense, we do say that if you are in a PhD program, there is no such order that you have to take the Creative Journey to Dissertation course first, and the Great Books, and then the Chartres Academy. It is according to your schedule, how busy you are, what are your responsibilities. You try to fit in whichever comes first, and so basically you design your own study path. But clearly the Creative Journey to Dissertation course has set dates, so that is given. If you can't make the April date, not to worry, because I'm sure that we can schedule another one later this year. The Great Books course, that is one of the easiest course actually of ours. You need to complete 3 trimesters. One trimester is 4 months, and within 4 months we cover 2 books. One book has 2 presentations, 1 presentation per month. So for example, we started this year, January, February, there was 1 book presented in 2 occasions, and March, April, there will be the second one. If you miss the live presentation, which is usually the second Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. Central European time, which is whatever time, wherever you are on this planet, not to worry, because the recording of the presentation will be uploaded on our YouTube site, so you can rewatch it anytime you wish. Once the trimester is finished, then you need to submit a post paper. At the doctoral level, the post paper would be around 15 to 25 pages, written in APA style. We talk about this at the Creative Journey course. This is my mantra. I'm saying it so many times. Sorry. You don't need to pick one trimester after the other. You pick the trimester itself. So if there is, for example, one trimester whereby either you're too busy, you don't want to take that specific trimester, or you don't like the books presented, then you can just skip it and take another one. You do not choose the books, you choose the trimester. You pay by trimester, which is 1 credit. I think there is a deadline, Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, I think, is it 60 days to submit a post paper? I think something like that. But if for whatever reason you are delayed, then just let us know, and not to worry. It is really advisable to submit the post paper as early as possible, so the whole topic is really fresh in your mind. At the Creative Journey to Dissertation course, I'm going to share with you examples of post papers at the MA and the PhD level, and also examples of master's thesis and PhD thesis. So you actually get that what is the requirement, or some samples, and how one MA or PhD looks like. The best one is that if you go to academia.edu and you just type in Peter Mary, and his wonderful dissertation is right there, which is good to read anyhow, even if it is like an evening reading. So that's the grade books course. The other core course is the Chartres Academy course. Now, Chartres is a wonderful small little town, an hour train journey away from Paris. And I don't know if maybe some of you already visited that amazing place. It has a deep history within, not just its amazing cathedral, which is over 1,000-year old, but every single step on every single little street, really. This course we started over 17 years ago, and it is based on the 7 liberal arts, which I'm sure you're familiar about. The 7 liberal arts were taught in all the church schools, such as Parisian school in Notre Dame, and it was really carried on in the Chartres school, and that's what we actually been building on. Every year, the theme of the course is different. If for whatever reason, it is an in-person course, and usually it happens either July or August each year. We do acknowledge that it is quite pricey to fly, and if you have any ethical reason that you don't want to fly or you don't have finances extra, then you can take the recorded version of the 2020 and the 2021 year of the Chartres Academy courses, because during those pandemic years, clearly we couldn't travel, so we turned the course into an online course. The online expression and the in-person expression is totally different. You get so much more out of it when you come to the in-person course, because it is Monday to from morning to evening. It is full on. For example, one evening we rent out the whole cathedral, we lay out candles, we walk the labyrinth. One evening we go to the crypt. We probably don't call it crypt anymore, under church or something like that. We sing, we have different workshops like a dream workshop, and every year we have different keynote speakers. So we try to intertwine the one of the 7 liberal art with modern elements of that concern us, be that individual and societal trauma or something similar. So yes, we can talk about the Druids and all that lot about Chartres, but maybe I just leave it at that, and probably Sandra, you could add to this.
Thank you very much. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so we have 10 minutes left. I would like to invite other people who may have other questions. Please raise your hand. Remember, you can go to reactions and raise your hand from there. If there are any other questions. Monir, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Yeah, thank you, Silvia, and also Ubiquity personnel. Actually, I'm waiting for long to do a PhD program. In the meantime, you know very well that I have completed in 3 dimensions of Gaia education. And I am wishing to admit me for the next course, worldview dimension. So my question is, I have also master's degree already. So in the meantime, I am completing my GEDS program, and I have master. So I wishing to directly for the PhD program. In that case, again, it is a problem for me, as you know previously about me, that I am from in Bangladesh, and from here it is very difficult to manage scholarship. So again, my question is, do you have any scope linkages or suggested organizations for the scholarship program? And I would like to do the PhD program intensively. In that case, it is I prefer in-person PhD program. So these are my idea from me.
Sorry, Moni, just to clarify that last point, there isn't an in-person version of the PhD program where you would be located on a campus or something somewhere. It's all virtual, so you would kind of be based where you are, and then you do the PhD program from there.
Thank you. I can respond to the other piece. I understand that yes, you could be taking, the dimension of the GEDS that you still have to complete, and at the same time apply for the PhD if your master's, if you have a master's degree, and everything else is, all the other requirements are there, and you could be attending the writing workshop. Maybe Peter, can you speak about any kind of installments or scholarship or anything that may be helpful for Munir or for people who are in the same situation?
Yeah. So we don't have a scholarship fund ourselves at Ubiquity, but we can provide any support that people need to apply to any third-party funds. We can arrange payment plans so that you can pay in installments over time. We already have on the website the option for, I think for the masters is 2 different installments, and for the PhD 3. But if you have any more detailed questions on that, feel free to reach out to our admissions team, and they can help you with that. That would be admissions at ubiquityuniversity.org.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. I have 2 questions from the chat that I would like to speak about those, because people who are listening to the recording will not be able to see the chat. So one of the questions was if there was a particular requirement of the master or any master will work for the PhD. I understand, Raji, that any master will work, right? There's no specific field that the master needs to be. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Perfect. And the same applies to the bachelor. Is that correct?
That's right.
Perfect. Okay, there is another question here from Sane, which is, are there any requirements for the PhD in terms of topic or thematic falling under the research proposal?
Well, I'd say it has to build on the work that you've done with the GEDS. So it has to have some kind of relationship, because what we're really doing is we're saying that the work you've done with GEDS is your PhD coursework, right? So in the Ubiquity PhD and MA programs, we combine the US and the European approach, where half of your credits are taught and half of them are research, basically. So your taught credits are what you get through the GEDS. So your thesis or dissertation should somehow build on your, the key themes and what you've learned through your GEDS courses. Couldn't be something like completely different that has nothing to do with the GEDS experience.
Perfect, thank you. I have Terrell. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing well. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's Terrell. I have first question for Silvia. I'm pretty sure it was the GEDS program in 2011 at Findhorn. I did the 30-day residential, the 4 modules. And I'm wondering, is that the equivalent? Also, I have a master's. I'm interested in the PhD program. And I've done the ERD course recently. And since then, for the last 2 years, we've been developing our own project here, Center for Regenerative Living in France. So I'm excited to see how I can, put all that together to qualify for the PhD program. And the other question maybe for Peter was, I noticed that when I was reading over the website, I think you gave an option for either the great books or the soft skills course for the PhD program. Is that correct?
That's correct for the master's, but not the PhD.
Okay.
So the PhD, it's the great books in Chartres. It's just because the level of the course is more of a applied approach, which is more a master's piece, more master's focus than a PhD focus.
Got it. Okay, great. Thanks for that clarification.
But Terrell, it sounds like what you're doing is great and what you've done so far as well. And it'd be really interesting to build a PhD program around the experience.
Yeah, I'm excited to do it. I did the residential program at Findhorn, and then I completed my master's with Gaia University, not to be confused with Gaia Education. And my degree was in integrative eco-social design, and a lot of project work already involved in that. So yeah, I'd like to see how we can move that into the PhD program.
Hi, Terrell. I will let Peter probably to consider your situation in particular, but from Gaia education point of view, what you completed in Findhorn is what we call the EDE, Eco Village Design Education, which is a smaller version of the GEDS. It's not the GEDS. I have done the EDE twice, and I am also a facilitator of the EDE. So it is based on the same curriculum. However, it's impossible to pack all the GEDS in 5 weeks, which is, the case of the EDE. The EDE is more hands-on, and it's usually more, for example, some eco-villages, the approach is more in the social or in the worldview or in the ecological or the economics. The GEDS goes really in depth in each one of those dimensions, and also has at the end, like I said before, it has quite long design studio that is done in a group. And so we can discuss that, but technically speaking, you haven't completed the GEDS. Like I say, you can talk to Peter to see if the rest of the things that you have done are valid, but no, what you have done is not the GEDS, is the ED. It's a little bit different. So, but thank you for the question, because that may apply to many of the people who have gone through that process.
Silvia, I think we'd have to ask your advice on that in terms of like the number of engagement hours and how it compares, but certainly open to exploring the possibility, Terrell. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, particularly because there are many people like Terrell that have a combination that is quite unique and interesting, and maybe equivalent to complete the GEDS.
I mean, we need 240 engagement hours essentially of coursework for you to be able to bring it into the PhD. So it's just a question of adding up the hours, really.
Yeah, we can check because I know how much is the EDE. So what you can do, Terrell, and anybody else who's in that situation, is to add 1 or 2 dimensions to complete the hours.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay,
that's a possibility.
That's reasonable. I mean, I did the first ERD course that you guys did with ecosystem restoration camps, and that was pretty intensive. I mean, and we did I was one of the projects for the design element, and since then for the last 2 years we've been implementing that design. So lots of practical hours applied from the educational process, for sure.
Sylvia, can I quickly answer Gabriella's great question, like where she says,
yeah, go ahead, we have a few more minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
The 3 main advantages to study with Ubiquity University rather than choosing any other. So I'm curious what my colleagues think of my top 3. Number 1 is find another university that would give you credits for Gaia education's programs. I don't think there is one. Okay, so if you wanted to use your Gaia education learning experience towards a graduate degree, there's not another university that offers you that possibility. Second is what Georgie pointed at, which I think is absolutely essential, just more philosophically, I'd say, for where we are on the planet collectively at this time, is that at Ubiquity, we insist that you make your inner journey an explicit part of your thesis and dissertation writing. Whereas most universities, they insist on an objective approach to things, which of course most of us know is an illusion, because there's no such thing as pure objectivity. And as the quantum scientists tell us, the observer affects the observed. So what we say at Ubiquity is you have to, as part of your thesis process, make explicit your own inner journey, your subjective inner journey, that's part of that research that you've been doing, as well as doing the more objective side of your literature research and providing your evidence and everything else. And I don't know of another university that combines those. And finally, to be quite honest, affordability. You could rack up $100,000 quite easily in debt doing a PhD. at another university. And Ubiquity, you know, for the full program, it's normally around $18,000. And you know, and find me another master's program in the world that you could get for $3,500, you know, plus your GEDS fee. So our commitment is to global affordability and accessibility of education, while also honoring the kind of education that we feel is really needed for the world today. So that would be my top three. Guys, anything to add? Raji or Georgie? How have I done? Give me a score.
Did well, Peter. I had content, cost, and community. So I'll just say something. So you hit content, you hit cost. I'd say community is important too, because I think we have a strange and talented and weird and interesting and pioneering bunch of people in our community. And, you know, if you're one of those kinds of people, you wouldn't find a better place.
Thank you. I want to add something. You know, I'm one of these people who are a little bit skeptical about degrees. And so I have crafted my own, the things that I do, I have crafted from places where I feel that they follow the same values, where I'm going, the beliefs that I think that are embedded in the future that we know that is possible. And one of the things that I like from this combination is not just what Peter say about affordability, and also what Raji say about, community, but it's also that something that you say at the beginning, Peter, when you want to, when you know that you need a new system, there are two ways to do that. One is to fight the old system, and the other one is to build a new system until the other one is obsolete. That actually comes from permaculture. And what we are doing here is actually to build that new system. There are places where you will need a master's or a PhD. The difference is instead of presenting a master's or PhD from a regular university, you are presenting something that is deeper than that and is more aligned to values that we believe on in these type of groups that we are. So that's what we are doing. We're pushing for another world. So that's probably part of the answer. And we're approaching the end, but I understand there are some other messages. I will call for people to actually raise your hand and ask the question, so those watching the recording can see that if you have a question that may be applicable to everybody. Another way, Raji, can you leave your email in the chat for people who are attending? We're going to distribute this recording and Raji's email and my email to all the people who registered if you have more questions. And again, there is room for one last burning question or comment from anybody. Thank you.
Silvia, can I just say one thing before we come to that? So if you do want to join the course in April, we'd really appreciate knowing that within the next 2 weeks, because we have to, agree with the faculty and do all the planning around that. So if you're interested in that program, signing up within the next 2 weeks would be great. And, essentially it's first come, first serve. We've got 15 places on that program. So once you're signed up, then we'll list you for the course. But it would be great to know within the next couple of weeks. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. And just to add to that, if you want to sign up, there are two ways. If you have already completed the GEDS or have at least one dimension of the GEDS, you can go directly to Ubiquity University page where the master's is. Raji has posted that, and you also can go through Gaia Education that directs you there. And then you will be speaking directly with Raji about all the details about attending the course. If you have not done the GEDS, not any one of the dimensions, come to us first, and I will give you the next steps. You also will have the possibility to get into that course, but you will need to register for the GEDS with a commitment of going through these. The reason is because we're going to give you a discount of the GEDS. And also we want to make sure that you are in the GEDS because you are going to the master's or the PhD and not the regular GEDS. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Any other last questions, Raji or Georgie? Anything?
Sylvie had her
yeah.
hand up. Sylvia.
Yeah. Oh, Solvi. Okay,
Yes,
go ahead.
hello. My name is Silvia. I come from Norway. I'm excited about this, and I've done the GEDS with a lot of joy. My question was a follow-up to an answer I got, that if you register for the master and the PhD at the same time, then I think you said that you have to do only one dissertation. So could you say something more practical about that? How is that possible?
Yeah, so you can either do an MA or a PhD or an MA PhD combination, right?
Yes.
If you choose to do the combination, then you get at the end of it an MA PhD diploma. And so you don't get a separate MA diploma and then a separate PhD diploma. If you wanted to do that, you would have to complete the MA program and write your thesis for that, and then do the PhD program and write your dissertation for that. So in this case, you do a number of courses at the master's level, then you do a number of courses at the PhD level, and then you write your PhD dissertation. And that gives you your MA PhD diploma.
Exactly. So it's this dissertation you write then, the final one. And then if I go to a university in Norway, then they will, say yes to my PhD, or recognize it, formally.
Never a guarantee of that, I'm afraid, for any university that I can say, Solvi, it's ultimately a university's discretion as to whether they recognize your degree. So unfortunately, what we see is people with degrees coming from, Raji's part of the world, perfectly well qualified, and then they come to the US or Europe and they're not recognized at all, and they're not allowed, and then they have to start all over again, which is ridiculous. So it's quite a lot of protectivity around the higher education system. So we don't guarantee that to anybody. However, if you've done a great piece of research, and you've got your dissertation, and on your if you're doing the PhD dissertation, then on your panel you will have Georgie, who had a PhD commendation from the Sorbonne. You'll have Jim Garrison, who has his master's and PhD from Harvard and Cambridge University. So there's a real guarantee of the quality of your work, and that is what's more likely to convince them than where it came from. But I guess you'd probably want to go to an open-minded university anyway. If you went to an old school one, they might just go, "What's this?
Yes.
This is a bit too innovative for us," and not accept it. So you're going to want to go somewhere that where you can do the work you want to do anyway. Yes. So hopefully they would be open-minded enough to accept your qualification. But as I say, never a guarantee anywhere.
No, I understand. Thanks.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here, for listening. Thank you, Peter, Georgie, and Raji, for being so thorough in all the explanations. And again, we're going to distribute the recording and the links to all of those who were here or couldn't attend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye.
And do reach out if you have any questions.